Texas baseball has officially fired head coach David Pierce. Where does a once proud program in the Texas Longhorns go from here? Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. We're brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Guys, download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com. And when you do, use promo code SECU for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, that's our friends at Prize Picks, promo code SECU to get your first deposit match today. Change has come for the Texas Longhorns baseball program as head coach David Pierce was fired on Monday morning after 8 years at the helm. And guys, this comes as not much of a surprise. If you've been paying attention over the last couple weeks, if you've been in tune with the Texas Longhorns baseball beat, if you will, if you're just really tied into the college baseball world at all, guys, to the point where when I went to the College World Series, got there on Thursday for the practice day before the tournament started, there were rumblings and folks down there on ground level were talking about, hey, this is going to happen sooner rather than later. Good chance it happens during the College World Series that Texas is going to move on from David Pierce. Guys, you look at his tenure there in Austin, 297 and 162, a 647 winning percentage, 101 and 71 in conference play in the Big 12. And guys, you look at how his tenure went. Made the regional in year one in 2017, made the College World Series in 2018 when they won 42 games, went 17-7 in conference play. Had a really tough 2019, missed the postseason. 2020, had no season due to COVID. Then you really saw, guys, the peak of the tenure. 2021, 2022, back-to-back College World Series appearances, right, including a 50-win campaign in 2021. So back-to-back College World Series, 21 and 22. 2023, you make the Supers. 2024, of course, this season, you get knocked out in the regionals. And guys, I look at this move for Texas, and I get the move. I really do, because I think when you look at two guys, and I think Texas fans and Texas A&M fans, if you turn this conversation on them, they would refute it. But I think what each school does respectively, I think it goes a long way in the moves these teams make. I think it goes a long way in the moves these schools make. And I think because of the success that Texas A&M is having, playing for the national championship game at the time of speaking this tonight, I think the fact how much success they're having with Jim Schlossnagle, Texas about to come in the league, obviously, again, a very, very proud baseball program. Like, guys, when I think of college baseball, and I'm not saying they're the most successful or anything like that, but like growing up for me, early 2000s, when I think of college baseball, I think of the Texas Longhorns. I think of Augie Garrido. I think of a really, really proud history and tradition, and like Texas being one of the gold standards in college baseball. And that standard had been lost to a degree. Now, I will say this, at a place like Texas, the standards and the expectations, they are extremely high, because again, we're talking about a guy just a couple years ago, 21 and 22, back-to-back seasons, made the College World Series. But I think when you look at trajectory, when I think you look at the way the program was going, the feelings around the program, what the program had been, it felt like it started to slip a little bit. It felt like things for David Pierce started to trend in the wrong way. And when you're coming in the SEC, guys, you got to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. So I'm not stunned to see this. I'm not surprised. And now the question goes to, where does Texas go from here? Who do they go after next? Because I can tell you this, guys. Texas is going big game hunting. We are not going to see the Longhorns hire some assistant you've never heard of who's on the up and up, and he's on the way up in his coaching ranks. The Texas job is different, guys. Like, there's a level of pressure and expectations and a standard to hold up to that it takes a special certain someone to take that job and to thrive, right? Not just succeed, not just manage, but thrive in that role. So I don't think you're going to see Texas take a flyer on a guy who's some assistant and, well, maybe he can be this. No, this is going to be a win now move, I think, from Texas, right? And I think when you look at the landscape of college baseball, who's out there, who's available, and guys, I can tell you this. I was told by a source at the College World Series, and I'm not a big purse sources guy, what have you, but I was told by someone at the College World Series, their boots on the ground. The money that Texas is about to throw at their next head baseball coach, it is going to be historic numbers. We're talking, guys, 10 years, $35 million. Like we're talking almost $4 million per year for the next head baseball coach in Austin. Texas is not messing around. They are not. So when you talk in those numbers, and I'm going to get in the names in just a second, but like, I know there's going to be some fan bases out there that say, no way, we just signed this coach to an extension. This guy would never leave, this, that. When you're talking those kind of money numbers, and money's not everything, but those kind of numbers, guys, it's at least going to make it difficult for guys to say no. And I think it puts everyone on high alert. When it comes to the short list, guys, for me, again, this Texas program, I'm not saying it's the greatest program in college baseball history, but I think it's one of the blue bloods of college baseball. I really do. When I think of college baseball, I think of Texas. I do. So my short list of candidates, guys, I've mentioned this before, and this is more out of respect and admiration for this guy. It's more out of respect and admiration. I'm not saying he would leave. I'm not saying that at all. But the first call that I would make, the first call I'm making is Tony Vitello. I am making Tony Vitello tell me no. And if he tells me no, that's totally fine. I get it. Listen, he just signed a brand new extension, or at least it's rumored he did. He's got his hands involved with the stadium upgrades. And, like, I think listening, guys, to Tony Vitello in Omaha, I think he really loves taking a program, building it into his own, building it after his image, and shaping it and being, really involved with that, and taking something that, Tennessee doesn't really have baseball history and tradition, not a rich history of tradition. I mean, they've got 550-win seasons, guys, and he has 3 of them there. So they weren't much before him, but I think Tony V likes that. Like, I think he likes building that program up. But, guys, I've mentioned before, if I were starting a program, there's nobody else in college baseball I'd rather have lead my program than Tony Vitello. So he would be my first call, undoubtedly. If he says no, other names that I think could be a good fit, other names that I think would flourish in that role. I think Eric Bakich at Clemson would be a good one. Guys, Jim Schlossnagle at Texas A&M. I think that's the elephant in the room, right, that we should talk about. Would Jim Schlossnagle leave Texas A&M to go to Texas? And my goodness, the dynamic. Because you think about it, guys, and again, I was talking to some folks at the College World Series, and I'm sure you can figure out who it was, but I was talking to some folks about, when Jim Schlossnagle left Fort Worth to go to College Station, when he left TCU to go to Texas A&M, there were folks in Fort Worth that were not happy about it. They were not, right? There were folks that were very upset, and there's probably some that still harbor some resentment of Jim Schlossnagle. But I think at the end of the day, you kind of say, you know what? Like, listen, it's the opportunity of a lifetime. You got to take advantage. The money, totally get it. That level of disdain and distaste and resentment, guys, it will be 1/1000th of what he felt and what he will feel if he goes from Texas A&M to Texas. I mean, that would be, wow. You talk about rivalry. You talk about bad blood. And I don't, guys, I don't think it would happen. I think it's much more likely to happen. Again, we're speaking on the day of Game 3, winner take all in the College World Series final. I think it's more likely to happen if he wins the title with Texas A&M and says, you know what? I gave you a national championship. I can ride off in the sunset. I'm going to take this. Maybe it's a dream job, or just take this incredible opportunity over at Texas. See if I can get them back. It's hard for me to really wrap my brain around that happening, though. Just the optics of that, what that would mean, the heat that would bring on Jim Schlossnagle, it's really, really hard for me to imagine that's going to happen. Other names, Nick Mingione at Kentucky. Guys, somebody's got to give this dude a big-time job. And again, all due respect to Kentucky, I know he loves being there. This is Texas baseball. Like, dude, with the resources, the facilities, the recruiting ground, I think Nick Mingione could do great things. Guys, Kevin O'Sullivan should be a name we throw around, because here's the thing. Kevin O'Sullivan, again, all these guys making solid money. You ain't making what Texas is going to pay. I can tell you that right now. You ain't making what Texas is going to pay. And Kevin O'Sullivan, he's proven winner. And Florida, guys, is still a school, admittedly. Listen, they've got diehard college baseball fans, But I think for the most part, they're pretty passive about baseball. So if Kevin O'Sullivan wants to go somewhere, I know he loves living in Gainesville, but new challenge at a great program, incredible support for college baseball. Kevin O'Sullivan to Texas makes some sense. Rob Vaughn, who just went to Bama. I mean, that's another name. That'd probably be near the bottom of my list, but Rob Vaughn was really, really good in the Big Ten. I think he could be successful at Bama. But again, it's going from a school at Bama that baseball is the third most popular sport to go into Texas to where, I mean, nothing's going to trump football, but Texas baseball is for real. Like, it's serious. So, outside of that, guys, I think it'll be interesting to see who Texas targets. But again, I think they're going to go big game hunting. I don't think this is going to be a scenario where you see Texas settle for some up-and-coming assistant and the guy's never coached a game before or whatever. Texas is going to go out there. They're going to get a big name. You got to get a dude that instills confidence in the fan base. And you got to get a guy. Again, you're going into SEC play, guys, next year. And I know Texas and Oklahoma folks are tired of hearing about SEC, but you guys see it in baseball. Like, if you don't have your ducks in a row, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. So I think for David Pierce, I think for Texas, I think this was a long time coming. I think it makes sense. I'm not surprised to see Texas make this move, and I think it could be a positive move for Texas, but the expectations are there. The standards are there for the Texas Longhorns. Who do they go get? Who do they target? And I'll ask you, who do you think should be the next head baseball coach of the Texas Longhorns? Guys, it's going to do all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.